Hello fellow investors and welcome to Sylle Invest, where we bring knowledge to investing. Is Newlox Gold Ventures undervalued? Today I will provide an overview of the company, followed by my price targets for 2022. Remember that I am not a financial advisor and you should do your own research before investing. So, who are Newlox Gold Ventures? Newlox is a company that recover gold from inefficient artisanal mining tailings. Such a hard word. They extract over 90% of the gold in that tailing, whereas in artisanal mining practices, they are at best 40% right now. They also provide environmental remediation by removing the toxic mercury from the tailings, so they clean the earth while they recover some of the gold, or almost all of the gold. There is no gold exploration needed, which is very expensive because they're working with tailings, which are readily available. Their facilities are low cost, high margin, and built quickly in less than 6 months. We're going to go through some summary notes here of Newlox in two parts. So the first part here is going to be about the stock. So the stock price at time of publication is 38 cents and it's US dollars. So the entire video today is going to be US dollars, not Canadian. And the market cap at time of this publication is around 39 million. Total addressable market for their gold recovery is 27 billion. The total addressable market for their licensing is 207 billion, and we'll talk about this further ahead. The shares outstanding, fully diluted, is 190 million, whereas the shares outstanding currently, I think, is around 102 millions. The insider ownership is 23.54%, which is huge. And that's a big green mark in my book. Moving on to the second part, we can see that Newlox are in production. Looking at many small caps, they're just like they have ideas, they have technologies, but they're not usually commercialized. They're like in the test phase with like a pilot project. But Newlox actually are in production and they're scaling up that facility right now. So that's great to see that they have something that works and it's not something they have to prove to the world. So that's a big plus. And moving on, they have basically unlimited feedstock because it is tailings, and like I said, it's readily available, and it's not going to be any shortage of that. Newlox is environmentally they have an environmentally positive process for gold production as they remove the mercury from the tailings they process, which is really good for the environment. And you see, they improve economic, environmental, and social conditions for artisanal miners, because the miners that they partner up with to make this gold recovery, they get better deals with Newlox than if they would have done it on their own. You will see later on a 50-50 model where they gain like 50% of the profits. And since Newlox has a 90% like gold recovery, that will mean they have a gold recovery rate of 45%, which is 5% better than current practices. So they get more money, and it's also a very modern process. So they get to work with a modern process, and at the same time, while they get better like an economic environment, they also clean the environment around them from the mercury. So it's a win-win in many scenarios, both for the artisanal miners, but also for Newlox. And Newlox has been very open that they want to find these win-win scenarios for the miners and themselves, and that's how they're going to expand to find these situations where, well, everyone gains. And I think that's a big thing moving forward. Moving on to the 5-year plan, they are planning to build 2 new facilities every year, and considering how they've done so far, it seems very plausible. And they also aim to have a production of over 145,000 ounces per year. And if they build 2 new facilities every year, then that is very much achievable. So that is their 5-year plan. One thing that's very interesting is that their projects are paid back in less than 1 year at full scale operation when they get these facilities up and running at full scale. That is a super quick rate of return, and we'll go into the numbers more later. So it's very, very high margin. And they have a huge self-funded 5-year growth plan, so they won't be needing dilution moving forward. They can basically take the profits they have from the one facility they have now and the one they're currently building to pay for upcoming facilities. So it's so no real dilution necessary, and that's good for us shareholders. Moving on to their facilities. We have 3 parts here. The first one is Ororoca. It's their first facility. And at full scale, this facility can process 6,500 ounces a year. The costs accompanied with this facility is $600 per ounce of gold they produce. And if you go down to the gross profit, once it's at full scale, it will produce a gross profit of 7.8 million per year. And you can see the math there is pretty simple. 6,500 ounces, and then the 1,200 there is because today's gold price is around $1,800 per ounce, and it only costs them $600 to extract this gold. So they will be gaining like $1,200 per ounce they produce. So yeah, 7.8 million gross profit per year once it's at full scale, which it should be very soon. It is producing right now, just not at those levels, but I will expect news of that quite soon. Moving on to the second facility, we have the Boston facility, also in Costa Rica. It is currently under production, should be done very, very soon. And once it reaches full scale, it will produce around 20,000 ounces a year, plus a significant amount of silver, because their process doesn't only take gold, it can also get out some silver from the process there. The costs here is actually a different model. In the model above with $600 per ounce is because they buy the tailings and then the production cost and the cost for processing that is, from what I know, included. So that's how they get that cost. But the 50-50 model here at Boston it's a nice split with the local artisanal miners, where they split the profits there, and this will be 0 mining costs for Newlox. So basically, the miners that are locals will simply just do the mining for them, and they will split it 50-50. And the miners themselves will, like I mentioned before, it will be more beneficial for them in every way to do this, while at the same time Newlox gains money. They just put up the facility and get the deals going, and yeah, everyone should be winners here. The gross profit for the Boston facility is 18 million a year, which is, well, the 20,000 ounces multiplied with 900, which is half of the 1,800, which is today's gold price. Here is one very, very interesting thing. The capex for the Boston facility is $2 million. It's like I said, like a project can pay back itself in less than a year at full scale, and this is why it's super cheap for them to build these facilities and then getting it in production. And since it's paid so fast, this can grow so fast once they've had this ball going. So I'm looking forward to that moving forward. I'm looking forward to see what the capex are for the upcoming facilities as well. Moving on down there to Brazil, they have identified 3 sites in Brazil, and the first facility should break ground now winter 2021 or 2022. And since they build that facility in less than half a year, I expect it to be built and finished mid 2022, around there. Something that's really interesting also in Brazil is that Newlox are conducting a World Bank sponsored project to improve economic, social and environmental conditions for artisanal miners, which is exactly what Newlox does. I think it's a quote from one of the press releases where their CEO is really not hype, but he's curious of what this can bring them, and I am too. This can only mean good things, and I'm looking forward to see what that will end up being. Except for the facilities, we have something that's also like almost equally interesting. It is their organic Aqua Regia. It's their liquid they use to extract the gold, and it is in my words revolutionary. It's very special. So it's a gold leaching technique for potential licensing for the 207 billion gold industry. Okay, so let's look at the advantages first. So it's non-toxic. It's let's go with the process first, because you put the dirt in this liquid, and it will actually drain out the it will take the precious metals into this fluid, and then you can just that's how you extract it. And it's really smooth, really simple, no crushing, no like super expensive machines. It's that's what makes it so amazing. And this liquid, it's non-toxic, it's recyclable, so after you've used it, you can take the same liquid and use it again. So it's very economic that way. And it also uses no water, and that is not something that's common in mining, because usually you use a lot of water, but this solution does not use any water at all. It requires neither carbon nor electrowinning, and it extracts gold faster than cyanide. And it's cyanide that they are trying to replace with this new liquid. Cyanide can be, from what I could hear, it can be toxic and hard to handle, so it can result in injuries. So it has so many advantages over cyanide. So their hopes is that this can be the new thing for the gold industry of how they extract gold. And also we move to the recent testing that they have achieved, because it's an R&D process right now that is continuously improving. The 90% we saw earlier, that's what they've achieved so far. They did some testing, I think it is in April or something, where they had a nearly 100% gold recovery in 80 degrees Celsius, and that's not very hot. And because in this fluid, like the hotter it is, the better it extracts these precious metals. But it's also very effective in like 40 degrees, 30 degrees. They had a 95% gold recovery in 8 hours at ambient Costa Rica temperatures, and that would be like super cheap then to extract these gold if it works in ambient temperature. And these these results are a huge improvement from the last run they had, and I think also a huge improvement of what they're doing right now. So they're going to test this like level 2 OAR. They're going to test it this summer, and if it works well, I expect them to implement it in their solutions, and they will be even more effective than before. The results look very promising. They have it in a press release. You should really look at it. It's amazing. But it's hard to measure the licensing income, but it has the potential to generate more revenue than their entire gold reclamation program. Because if this really takes off and it becomes like something like a branch standard, then people would want this. And it's like a 207 billion gold industry. If this becomes a standard, then there is a lot of money to be gained. And it really, the results are astonishing. I think this will be a big thing from them moving forward. But yeah, let's move on and see what more they have. Well, this is, okay, so we're moving on to my price targets here, because now I'm done with the company. Now let's look at what we can expect. So I have some assumptions here for my price targets. I assume a 20% corporate expenses. I assume 20% corporate expenses on the gross profit. Costa Rica has a corporate tax of 30%, and the corporate tax in Brazil is 34%. And the PE ratio for a typical Canadian listed gold company is 28.8. Okay, so let's do some math. Yeah, I have actually written it down to make it simple for you. So the gross profit from Costa Rica, this is the 2022 production. So this is what we will see in 2022. I will see the gross profit in Costa Rica is going to be 25.8 million, around there. As you can see, it's from the first facility and also from the second facility, and just combine them. And then we have the gross profit in Brazil. Now, their third facility will be built in it will built and finished like mid 2022. And it's not gonna be like 20,000 ounces a year production instantly. They usually start a little smaller and then they scale it up. So I believe that the third facility will be at full scale by the end of the year. It's perhaps a little conservative number, but I would say that all of the Brazilian facilities they managed to build, they will at total be able to extract around 5,000 ounces of gold during 2022. And I also assume they're going to use the 50-50 model, which is pretty conservative because it's less profitable for Newlox to have the 50-50 model versus when they buy the tailings. But conservative numbers is what we do, so let's go with that. Okay, so let's move to the net profit. You can also see the numbers there. It's basically the gross profit, and we take away all of the 20% for the corporate expenses, and then we take that amount and throw some taxes on it, and then the total net profit should be around $16.83 million, and Newlox's current market cap is 39 million. So we're talking like, what is it, 1 year and 4 months ahead in time, and we already and the numbers are just astonishing. So this is, I believe this is going to be a big runner. So the price target on the fully diluted shares, which is 190 million versus the current outstanding shares of 102 million, is $2.55 or converted to Canadian, 3.16 Canadian dollars. This is 6.71 times today's price at the end of the year 2022. And let's further down, I'm going to show you like, you know, what can change, what have I not counted. So let's go. Okay, so with the minus first, Corona happens, there may be outbreaks, there may not be outbreaks, and there may be vaccines, we don't know. They've had some delays in the past because of the Corona, but I think we're moving to better times, but still, it's a factor that can affect both building and production negatively. There's also political threats in Latin America. It's not the most stable place in the world. Costa Rica, though, but yeah, when they expand outside of Costa Rica, it can be some trouble, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. And let's look at the plus and minus. This model expects Newlox to execute according to plan. I think their plan is pretty conservative. I can definitely see them overextend of what they promise, but I can of course also see they underperform. So it's a plus and minus. It can go either way. I mean, the 2 facilities per year. I mean, 2022, absolutely, they can make 2 facilities. And then the year after that, they can make 2 facilities. But then they will have such an income. They should be able to produce much more than 2 facilities per year. So I think that's going to grow more than they anticipate, honestly. But yeah, moving on. The costs are currently a wild card. I use the 20% corporate expenses, but until we know more, there is no like accurate way to measure this. But I looked around, and this seems to be quite a good estimate to make. The PE ratio is set on the average, and it may vary. It may be lower, may be higher. We don't know. And the gold price may also vary. It goes up and it goes down. Currently, I think the trend right now is that gold is going to become stronger with inflation, at least fear of inflation. So we will see, but the gold price definitely affects how the income or the profit is for Newlox. And now to the plus, there are many things I do not count. Here in this model, I only count the gold. I do not count for silver or any other precious metal they extract in this process. I do not count any licensing fees from the OAR. I believe this is going to be one of their biggest thing in the future, but until they have at least, finished the R&D and have a deal up and running, I can't count it. But if this thing, becomes a thing, then these numbers this price target is going to be so much higher. But we're not going to count it. I'm also not counting the OAR improvements, because right now they have a 90% gold recovery, but as you saw, they had a 95% gold recovery at ambient Costa Rica temperatures, which will, working in ambient temperatures also reduces costs. So I think these improvements will make, their profits even higher than they already are. But I'm not counting them right now because I want to see them before I take them into consideration. I'd not count any subsidies, and I'd not count any grants. They are an ESG company. It's very environmental friendly. So, I mean, I expect there to be plenty of subsidies, plenty of grants and funds, tax breaks, because what they do, it's like super green. And in Costa Rica, I think also in the power grid, it's like 96% renewable energy. So it's like they do both good for the miners, the environment, and of course they gain money at the same time. And also this mercury extraction thingy, where they take away the mercury from the tailings. They are planning to, once they finish that technique and make it work properly, they plan to release that worldwide, so we can have less mercury in this world. Because the CEO said in an interview that they don't see any reason to monetize it behind a paywall, because that will benefit the entire world. So they're actually giving out that for free. The OAR, on the other hand, they are going to license, and I think that's going to be a big cash cow in the future. So yeah, there you have it, 2.55 by the end of the year 2022, 6.71 times today's price. So yeah, and by the end of this year, I would not be surprised if this stock has doubled, not at all. But yeah, I will, in the future, perhaps I will do a more deep dive and a more specific price target video. But let's move on to the ending. And it is simply that one video can't cover everything. It's a perhaps not a big company, but it's very fascinating what they do, and it's very many aspects that one video can't cover. So I strongly recommend you to read Penny Queen's due diligence on Newlox. The link is in the video description below. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and if you found this video helpful, please like and share, and don't forget to subscribe. If you want to support my work, please consider becoming a Patreon or donating. These videos take so much time to make, and all the support, it is really appreciated. Thank you for watching, and have a good one.